Ryan Garcia struggling to make weight weeks before the Gervonta Davis super fight. What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red Sports. Let's talk about it. Alright, y'all. So, the big homie Ryan Garcia seems to be struggling to make the 136 weight limit. I think we're 2.5, 3 weeks out from the super fight. And it's funny to me because before Gervonta Davis actually signed the contract, if y'all remember, it was Ryan Garcia complaining that Gervonta hadn't signed off on the contract. He was all on Instagram and Twitter, I believe, saying that he had already signed his portion of the contract and Gervonta Davis had yet to sign off. But nowhere during that time do I ever remember Ryan Garcia ever mentioning anything about catch weights or weight period within the contract. He was only trying to goat Gervonta Davis into signing the contract. So now, when we're weeks away from the fight, I find it extremely funny that he is the one who's been doing all the complaining about the weight limits. He's the one who's struggling to make the weight. I think Gervonta Tank Davis is going to boom bop him straight to sleep when this fight actually happens. And I just want to give my 2 cents on weight in boxing. Doesn't matter. Should it matter? Will it matter? We don't know. But when it comes to this fight, me personally, I don't actually think weight matters in the lower weight classes. I'm going to tell you why. In the lower weight classes, if you ever notice, from like 120, maybe 125 to like 140, you know, those weight classes or those fighters within those weight classes, they're not usually considered to be knockout artists. You don't see too many knockout artists coming out of those weight classes. Now, I'm going to tell you why. It's because when you watch little guys fight like 120, 1 to like 135, 140, those guys usually aren't knocking each other out. There'll be brawls and there'll be a lot of punches thrown. And they'll be bloodied and battered and bruised up. But most of the time they're not knocking each other out. It's just straight out brawls, a lot of punches thrown, not a lot of knockouts. So I don't consider like 130 to 135, 140 to the extreme. But I don't consider those guys to have weight as a problem. And because those guys can normally lose and gain weight with ease. They can go up, they can come down with ease. When you're shredded up, when you're ripped up, when you don't have a lot of body fat, it's obviously not hard for you to lose weight because you already don't have body fat. Now, once you get past like 140, depending on how tall you are, that's when body fat can become a problem. Because if you're 5'8", you know, around my height, and you hit about 140, you're going to start noticing that your body is having handles everywhere because you're putting on more body fat. And I've noticed that too. Because for a long time, I walked around probably like 130, at the max, for about 3 or 4 years. And I couldn't go past that just because I was working out so hard and I was so ripped up and shredded up. I couldn't go past the 135 because as soon as I would eat something, your body's processing it and getting rid of it. So it was hard for me to hold weight, but I could drop weight really quickly. I go run around the block and lose a pound, like that. But it seems like once I hit 140, now when I was younger, teenage years, I was probably like around 155. But it seemed like the 155 then, it didn't matter as much as it does now. Because the heaviest I've been recently is like 143. The type of work I do, I'm really active in the summer, spring, summer, fall months, and then I'm not doing anything really for like 2 or 3 months out of the year. So just sitting around gaining weight for a couple of months out of the year. And then when I start to drop the weight, I notice as soon as I get active again, the weight's gone like that. So I think if I was one of those guys who could push past the one, like I said, I was 155 in my younger days, but if I could push past the 140 mark now, I don't think I would be able to lose that weight just, that quick. So I don't think weight matters that much for little fighters, for shorter fighters, for lightweight fighters as much as it would for a guy like Tyson Fury. Now, one more point on smaller fighters and the knockout ratios. Guys like Manny Pacquiao are the exception to that rule. This is why Manny Pacquiao was so special. Because Manny Pacquiao was from 120 to 140, he was still knocking people out. And Gervonta Davis has been doing the same thing, which is why I think Gervonta is so liked and so special, because he's got that Manny Pacquiao-esque type of style and knockout ratio. So I think Manny Pacquiao was the exception to that rule. Weight didn't really matter, but he was still knocking people out. Now, when a guy like Tyson Fury, who you think, when you look at his body, you be like, man, this guy, no way he can box. Look how fat and out of shape he is. But I don't know how, but he uses his fat very well. I guess because he's so tall and long, his fat is spread out across more of a frame, and it doesn't affect him as much as it would someone who would be 6 foot and carrying that same amount of weight as he does. And I think he uses the fat as a cushion for the blows. So when he gets punched, especially to the body, you can't really hurt him to the body because he has so much body fat. Just almost like punching a pillow. Have you ever punched a pillow really hard? And it's like it did nothing. It's like it did nothing. It just absorbs everything. So, I look at Tyson Fury like just a big old pillow. He puts that fat on for a reason. But if you took 5 inches off of Tyson Fury and he was the same size, he's not the same fighter. He's going to be extremely slow. You would think at this size he would be extremely slow, but he's kind of quick for his size. I still don't think he's a great boxer, and I just think he just happens to be the biggest guy out there right now. But I think a guy like Uzeki, who uses his size very well, is going to get with him. Deontay Wilder should have got with him, and you would think a guy like Deontay Wilder, a slim guy, been slim his whole life, pretty much, ripped up guy, that he would have had better success against Fury because of his slim nature and his body prototype. But he's Deontay Wilder, and he's too wild for himself, so he didn't follow the game plan, and I don't think they had the right game plan to begin with, so he lost. If you ask me, weight doesn't matter depending on your size, and it shouldn't matter in this fight, but I think it most likely will. And my last point is, I think Gervonta Davis is going to win this fight. I think Ryan Garcia has already defeated himself by whining so much about the contract, the weight draining, all this other stuff. Well, he should have just gotten in the ring and showed and proved. If your punch is that great, then it shouldn't matter what's in the contract as far as weight, because you're going to win anyway. But I guess, in this day and time, some of these guys still think that they can just talk their way into a victory instead of, getting in the ring and actually proving it. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all of that down in the comment section below. Hit that like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. More than likely to get a response on the tube. So holler at me over there. If you want to collab, hit my Gmail, flockofcards@gmail.com. And we are Manny.
I can't trust these girls. I was gone for a minute, now I'm home. Riding with my nigga Slugs, talking on my phone. Talking to this chick I used to fuck, her name Simone. Sent a message, jail, and she feeling so alone. Told her, baby, I don't care if you locked up tonight. I can't risk my life chilling at your nigga spot. Maybe later we can get a room and make it pop. Girls like you be getting niggas shy. She said, boo, I'm sorry, it's too late, I'm paranoid. See you in a while and I don't know your boy. Niggas so annoyed, I can't even get no ass. Had to call her back and tell her, baby, I'll pass. I can't trust these girls, I just think they want my money. I can't trust these girls, I just think they want my money. I can't trust these girls. I can't trust these girls, I just think they want my money. I can't trust these girls, I just think they want my money. I can't trust these girls, I just think they want my money. I can't trust these girls. Okay, I think I'm about to lose a little cash. Riding down 7th Street with easy bluegrass. Got a text from B-Miss, he said come the bottoms up. I'm the VIP and tell them freaks to follow us. I remember when the dog house was calling us. At the house party, had the ladies going nuts. Pocket full of ones and I'm about to throw them up.